Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. Good morning, everyone. Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, based here in Toronto. It's a little chilly out there this morning in Toronto, but the sun is shining, so that's a plus. Today's guest is Beth Ostrander. She is a pleasure coach based out of Toronto, Canada. Good morning, Beth. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, good morning. Yeah, we were chatting earlier that my only happiness around the cold weather is that I love my winter boots. So I'm going to go out in my winter boots later. And other things. There will be other clothing involved, I'm just realizing.
Yes, I hope you don't just walk out in your winter boots.
No, that's not my style.
That would be pretty cool too, not to mention. How was your long weekend, the Easter weekend that just passed?
Oh, it was really nice. I had, we're recording this in the time of, the coronavirus pandemic. And so I had self-quarantined for 2 weeks. And so I'm well, but I hadn't seen my daughters for 2 weeks. And my 9-year-old and I were missing our big hugs. My 13-year-old and I was missing hugs. She was not. So we really had a nice time together, actually. Yeah, just chilling out. Yeah.
Good. So, Beth, you've had a few different jobs, careers, shall we say. You've worked in real estate. You worked at our international airport, Pearson Airport, and other jobs. So how did you fall into or get into being a pleasure coach? Where did that all start, and how did it explain that to me, how you got into that?
Well, I could literally talk for days about that, so I won't. But it is the short version is I grew up in a really, really loving home, and our culture was evangelical Christian culture.
Okay.
Very heavily revolving around the church, which, like I said, was full of love. And there was also this underlying message that wasn't overt, but it was definitely, I got it, that pleasure was not to be had for myself. Definitely be loving and kind and serve in service for others. But pleasure was a selfish kind of a practice in life. And so because I was a kid, and that's how we were brought up. Like, kids are like, we actually come into this world designed to like live our lives through pleasure. That's how kids function, and that gets suppressed. But so depending on what degree it gets suppressed, mine got suppressed a lot. And so that ties in with my career, because for me, my ability to know what I want got suppressed, because when you aren't allowed to have what you want, you stop actually asking yourself, what do I want? So eventually I really, like, if there was a muscle around knowing what you want, it got like, what's that word? I lost that muscle.
Right.
Deteriorated. Yeah. And I think like the atrophy, that's the word I'm trying to get.
Right.
And so by the time I got through to ready to choose a career, I honestly had no idea what I wanted. I happened to do well in math and business courses in high school. And my sister said, why don't you do accounting? I'm like, sure. And so I really kind of like flailed around what I wanted to do. I even changed my schooling a couple different times as well. I really couldn't grasp it. And then I got a couple of great jobs. They were interesting jobs. Worked actually at World Vision as well. And got to travel to Africa and really check out what around accounting and what people were doing with the funds there. So it was very cool, but it nothing ever really resonated. I always felt like I was forcing like this inability to do this thing, and I was always having to work really hard and never really feeling like I got it done well, Yeah. And so finally, fast forward to age, and it was in every area of my life like that, like really that atrophy ability to know what I wanted. So it showed up that kind of my hum of every day, every area of my life was like that. So anyway, but with my career, finally, I had been doing 20 plus years of counseling, self-development, and there was this wonderful coach I had in a program, and she kind of helped me source that, there was something under here that I really wanted to do. And it was around my own personal journey to coming to know that my body was actually a part of me.
Yeah.
And that was a good part of me. And I am a sexual being, and as I am a spiritual being and a physical being. And anyway, so then I really realized how much I love talking to people about that journey individually. And so I started out as a sex conversationalist, because I would put on these little house parties just talking with people authentically about how's it going in your intimate life, single women, married women, and we would just have conversations. And then I realized, holy cow, I love this. And I really was feeling like accounting at the time was sucking my soul out. So the comparison was like, it wasn't a no-brainer because it was terrifying to make the shift. But I did, and eventually then I did training and coaching. I got my license certification around erotic blueprints, which is not well known. I'm trying to make it well known. Jaya May created this amazing type system. Anyway, so that's the shortest I can pull off this morning, Brett.
So what exactly is a pleasure coach? Explain to us, those who don't know.
Yeah, well, I basically made it up. So.
Well, hey, that's all right.
So I get to make up what it means. I really grappled with what the heck I was doing in the world, and it came down to it's a pleasure coach, because I definitely see a starvation, a hunger of some degree in each person I've spoken to around us enjoying authentic pleasure. And I really make a distinction about authentic pleasure. And I for sure talk about physical kind of intimacy, physical pleasure, body relatedness. That's why you and we totally nerded out on like the body conversation, body positive concepts and all of this stuff, because that was part of my journey. I really, really thought I was pretty ugly and fat and all this good stuff, had eating disorders, blah, blah, blah. So, but what for me as a pleasure coach, as I've evolved in this work, I realized, people, at first I was focusing in on the physical intimacy aspect of it. But then I realized, wow, some people are registering that their pleasure is not there at a level they want in their physical intimacy, in their intimacy in general. And then I realized, wow, they're kind of even imbalanced in that, because when I would look at their life, their life was generally dim around pleasure. And then if I was working with, because I work with couples often, and so when I would then see the other partner, they didn't register so much about the intimacy part, physical intimacy being a problem, but they definitely registered that their life was kind of, they were either numbed out a little bit, or it really wasn't fulfilling them like they thought it would be. And so that's when I really anchored in, I'm a pleasure coach. I'm really here that we all get to experience a full life of authentic pleasure, not with the guilt attached, but the one that's satisfying, not the empty pleasure, right? Not that like flitting one, the one that really aligns with us, core values, who we truly, like that higher self version of ourselves, who our personality is, because we all have different pleasure types, So that's what I made up. Yeah.
That works. Hey, you created, you coined the term, so you can give it the definition and define it. That's awesome. Yeah. So tell us about your work as a pleasure coach, specifically with women who've been repressed or affected with regards to religion and sexuality, because you went through that. And how big of a role does religion play in these women's lives, and how do you help them deal with all of that? Yeah.
Honestly, it moves me, even just when you ask that, like it moves me, even thinking about it, because it was so much of my journey. And when I get the honor of sharing in a woman's journey, I also continue on my own. Like anyone who is in this kind of work gets that we as coaches, we get continuous clarification of self through this work. So what I find is I'm just going to say I focus in on those affected by religion, and there's 4 degrees I see that there's of like intensity. There's those who like would have been in a family of like a pastor's kid or a priest, or they themselves may have gone through education to be some sort of religious leader. And then the next is that you're in a household that is highly religious. So you definitely, everyone observes whatever the religion is. And I'm gonna say this, I've really got clear that religion and cultural shame. Oh, that's awesome. That's your dog that you were walking this morning.
Yes, that's right.
Hi.
One of them.
One of them. Oh. So
two.
religious and cultural shame often are the same thing, right? So as I've been working more and more, a lot of cultural shame will have the same thing as religious, and so then the third level of religious or cultural shame is that your community is highly religious or very involved in the cultural practices. But your household is not. For example, you might go to a Christian school, a Catholic school.
Right.
You might go to synagogue to learn I don't even know Judaism very well, but you have to go and you have to learn all your for bar mitzvahs, etc. You have to go through a process. And then there's the fourth, where we weren't really in a household, we weren't really in a neighborhood or a community that was heavily religious or involved in their cultural traditions, but our society is structured and seated upon these things. And that's where I think a lot of us who are not affected, we don't realize that there's this innate shame around pleasure, which is really kind of weird, because it's like marketing tells us to do pleasure big time, and it's a very prescribed version of pleasure, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's very big and bold, and it almost guilts you into, why are you not having enough pleasure? Why are you not happy enough? And it's like pretty extreme, right?
Yeah.
And they'll also, obviously sex sells, so they'll throw it in around the sexual pleasure. So this is really, really confusing, because we still are a culture that in individual counts, or even in relationship, we are heavily internally shamed. And so we're like having this contrast. So I say all this background to say that when women come and work with me, or I'm in a workshop, because I do a lot of workshops where I talk with women about this, and they're in their own community, like a women's group, and I'll come in and talk to them about this, or I get to work on them one-on-one. And I find that what it is it's this hidden thing that even women don't even get to talk to amongst themselves. And so one of the biggest things that is a relief, they'll often say, oh my gosh, thank you so much, is that they get to speak about it, Brad, which is crazy. And I'm guessing for you in your work, it's part of the thing that has women feel a release and freedom when they've actually come for, I would actually love to hear like your experience on the flip in what you do, because when women are either in a conversation with me in one-on-one or in a group, and they get to talk about the pleasure, they actually get to have a moment to consider what pleasure they want in every area of life, right?
Yeah.
And then they get to consider, wow, yeah, these are all the things that have been blocking me. Holy cow, I didn't even know that they were there.
Well, I would imagine being able to talk about it is like opening up the floodgates, and it's like this huge release of, wow, I can actually share my thoughts and how I feel with somebody, right?
Yeah, because most of us do not think about what we really want, because it's very depressing, annoying, angering
right.
to think about something you really, really want when a big part of you doesn't believe you should have it, can have it, will ever get it. It's just an agitation. Like if I want to go and live in Cuba for the whole of my life, and I am 100% certain that will never happen, to think about it is kind of that agonizing sensation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm stuck with my winter boots, right? So,
but you love your winter boots, so.
I do. Thank God. So it's often like we give ourselves permission to even think, oh, what is it that I'm not thinking about that I really want? And then, they have that permission, and the floodgates do start opening, and smiles, genuine smiles start showing up. Yeah. And ahas start having them notice that those things that are running through their head that say they can't, shouldn't, won't, aren't actually theirs all the time. They're not always their thoughts and beliefs anymore.
Right.
But they haven't even aired it to notice that those are running, stories going on. So anyways, it's very empowering. It's very empowering for women.
I would imagine, though, it takes a while. Like, I mean, when you're working with your clients and they have that aha moment and the floodgates do open for the first time, I would imagine it takes a while for them to get used to the fact that, hey, you know what, this is okay. And I would imagine also it varies for every person, but that's got to be quite an incredible experience to to experience that for the first time and being able to speak about it openly?
Oh, it's a really good question, and it does vary. Like everybody's body size and shape and hair color and everything is varied. I would say some of the factors include, that level of affectedness that I was talking about. If they've been highly affected, there's a lot more messaging that is subliminal that they too prescribe to. And sometimes I work with people that are still in faith. It's not that people have to discard their faith to have pleasure. No. It's like, how can I align it all? How can I align my pleasure with my core values, which include my faith beliefs, right?
Right.
So, yeah. And I also find that there's this speed that happens when you're in group and you're witnessed beyond just myself and the person.
Right.
So I've actually really moved to, I work with one-on-one, but they come and also be a part of the group, because there's a group mentality that, we can have awful peer pressure, but there's a group mentality that's highly, highly supportive. And it exponentially allows us to accept ourselves. When you're in a group of women and you express something that previously was hidden from even yourself, and no one shames you, and you're actually given hugs or just loving looks, there's something that magically releases in you. And it's actually one of the most powerful shame releasers that there is. There's speaking something that you were previously shamed about, witnessed by people who are safe, who will not re-shame you, is one of the most powerful ways to release shame.
Well, I guess too, doing it in a group setting, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, I would imagine, because some people don't want to share in front of other people, but on the other side of that, on the flip side of that, it can be very encouraging, because you also get to hear and see that it's not just you going through it, other people are dealing with the exact same thing.
Totally. And it's part of what Brené Brown talks about around this vulnerability. It is bravery to be vulnerable and keep that armor down.
Yeah.
It's sheer bravery to enter into those rooms. I'm always very impressed by who shows up in my rooms.
Oh, for sure. So
and then you asked around the duration. The other factor I'd say around the duration of how long it takes is then people are willing to then take action and practice many baby steps in real time. It shifts really much faster. And I will often tell people who, if they're there with me and they're really aware that their intimate life is, where the pleasure is low, I'll have them practice bringing authentic pleasure into other areas, because it's so much easier. So are you eating the food you love? Are you wearing clothes you actually adore? Are you going for walks when you actually prefer to run, but you never thought you were a runner, or something like this, right? So they practice the pleasure method techniques that I show them, it's not rocket science. This is actually very simple. It's just mostly aren't given permission to it, but practicing it in the easy win areas of our life also has people exponentially do this much more fast in their life.
Yeah, well, like you said, baby steps, right? You start with simple things and then move on to the more complex issues. I mean, it would be like chipping away at a wall of rock when something's been embedded in you for so long, for all your life, and then to finally be able to, hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be like this. It's got to be incredibly rewarding for you too to see that rock fall away.
Yeah, I actually love that you used the analogy of rock, because in Bible college, because I went to Bible college, in Bible college I took an elective class of archaeology, because I kind of nerd out on historical fiction and cool stuff like that, right?
Right.
So I took this course, and I've always kept that in my mind, because I feel like, I know that we are beautiful coming into this world. We're beautiful, stunning beings. And it's like that. I see it like that. What's that movie where there's all those feelings and there's colorful balls? I always forget what the name of that was.
I can't remember.
But anyway, it's all about good feelings, like different feelings, expressing your emotions. And I always see that that's us. That's our beautiful self. And we've just been layered with this, other people's values and not our necessary values, other people's belief systems, hurt moments, times that were intended to be pleasurable that were either not pleasurable or actually really painful, right? Yeah. And all of these things, and they piled, so we're chipping away. I love that you use that, because you're chipping away. And sometimes we even have to dust, like when they're in archaeologists, in Jurassic Park. They're down there dusting away these little bones. And that's sometimes how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. The delicate areas and moments and subjects, right?
Yeah.
So why did you choose to work with single women and couples? Where did that come from?
Oh, that's shifting a little bit now, but I did that intentionally because I was a single woman for the time I've practiced my work. And so for me, I was really wanting to do work that I knew. I'm not a single man. But since I also was really honoring that there can be a lot of confusion when you're talking about pleasure and intimacy as a single woman coaching a single man. So I really didn't want to have that in the mix.
Yeah.
And so I focused in on those that were in couples because I had an experience I was married for 12 years and then was divorced and separated, and then now I'm in another relationship. But that period of being separated and on my own, divorced, was 7 years now. Wow, time super flies. And so for me, I felt like my gift that I had as coach was navigating what a sexless, quote unquote, sexless marriage is. Doesn't mean there's no sex. It means limited or very little or none.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I had something to offer that. And a special part of me really loves those humans because they're committed, determined, loving the other, and yet, wow, just really can't, just because of all the things we've already talked about, Brad, like really there's just so much in the way to that conversation for so many people in relationship. And then with single women, I tended to focus on, most of my clients were women who were affected by religion, different religions. Sometimes it was cultural heavy and some of it was religion heavy. And what I just loved is allowing them to, I ended up realizing that a lot of the coaching was this intersection of their spiritual journey and their sexual journey and the coming together as a whole person, mind, body, spirit. And that's again where, we talked about my evolution to pleasure coach. Right. That's part of why I evolved, because I realized, wow, this is the holistic person. This is the all of us. So, that's why I work primarily with single women and couples, but I am actually starting to work more with single men. But again, that's partly because I'm in group context. I work in group context. Yeah, I think that a man with like a male body, because we were talking about a lot of gender fluidity in this world. There's a lot of freedom around people to actually exist as their true selves now. Yeah. And so I think why I also have kept it so I don't work so much with men solely is I think that there's just I can provide support, insight. I can provide insight. I can provide my experience, but there's something about men supporting men, whatever your sexual identity or orientation is, that is, I will bring in men when I'm working with men to do, like some of my past clients or some of my colleagues, because there's just something that I never source that I believe is really, really important.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. So positive body image is such a huge struggle, and the effects of not having a positive body image can be incredibly damaging to not only one's self-esteem, but their relationship, tying this in with what you do, and intimacy in the relationship. So can you speak to how you've been able to help women deal with that and just how damaging that can be in so many aspects of one's life? Yeah, it really is. It's funny, no matter what the shape or size, I mean, there's body image around being too small. There's body image around being too big. Yeah. There's even, I've had women who, they're stunningly beautiful, and there's shame and body image around being beautiful. And I know that sounds insane, but women who've been brought up told they're beautiful constantly, and they also have, every woman has issues with her body, thinks her body has some aspect or lots of aspects of her body are ugly. And women who are from the cultural standard beautiful, who want to share their agony with their friends about this, just like everyone else, we all share our agony. We want to have that space where we can be real. Their friends actually just can't understand it because they just can't see beyond the fact that, why are you complaining? You're so beautiful. And so there's a reshaming, and the reshaming is really, really a key part to avoid. So
So I just wanted to say that anyone listening here as a woman, and most men I've worked with also have this. Not every man,
Absolutely.
but most men also have major body shaming issues, and it hasn't been allowed to be spoken about. Wow. So,
well, I think for men, there's this macho facade that they've got to put on, and they can't admit that they've got problems with their body.
Yes.
It's sad that men can't feel that they can't talk about it because of how they're supposed to be portrayed in the world. And I mean, it's tough. More women, I'm sure, deal with it than men, but the men do deal with it as well.
Oh, for sure. And it's so interesting because I don't know. Anyway, so as humans dealing with body image issues, how I've seen it evolve is like all of it. It's based in a belief that is a shaming, self-deprecating belief. And there's a couple of ways you can shift it. You can shift things intellectually. You can shift things physically, actually. Like, so like a tension headache lives in our body, right? We all know tension headaches. Yeah. That's like from stress or whatever. You're sick of being at home with the same humans for 3 weeks, and you're going to get it.
You're sick of being quarantined with the same people.
Right.
Very
that can cause a tension headache. So like that, when we've had shaming, either external or internal, because we shame ourselves just as effectively.
Absolutely.
Right. And that resides in our bodies. And so depending on where someone is at, some people are very logical based and mind based. And so I encourage people to look at their belief systems and start to dissect them. So I'm ugly. That's a really big loaded statement if you think of it, because I'll have them break it down. Okay, great. What part of you is ugly? Okay, good. So your face, your face is ugly. Great. Okay, what part of your face? Okay, and so tell me more. Okay, my nose. Okay, what part of your nose? Okay, so the fact that it's too pointy. Okay, great. Is it too pointy right now? Like, do you feel it's too pointy all the time? Excuse me. Anyway, we break it down. And so it turns out that their real belief is that in a certain light, if at a certain angle, their nose is pointy. But every other time of their life, they don't even think about it. And so from I'm ugly to, oh yeah, I really think my nose is too pointy at certain points in certain lights, especially when I wear this dress. Those are very different weighted beliefs.
For sure.
And so that's what I call dissecting your beliefs. And I learned that through doing the morning pages. And one of my amazing therapists said, hey, just start thinking what you believe. And I would dissect and be a total nerd about these beliefs that just were totally true. I'm ugly was one of them, right? I'm fat. I'll never change. These are really overriding big ones. And then if you dissect them down into okay, there's a lot of beliefs made up in there, and some of them you actually agree with, and a lot of them you don't believe in. You really don't believe. And so when you look at something that you really don't believe, you can't force yourself to believe it again. Right. I've tried that with Christianity, trust me. So you really can't. You can't. So once you realize that your nose isn't pointy all the time, you really can't believe it's pointy all the time. Now, you may have a feeling associated, and that old belief will come up, but you no longer have the weighted anchor behind it. And so that's one of the ways I have people really address body image, by really saying, okay, great, so you're ugly. Tell me more about that. Let's really break down what that means. You're fat. Okay, good. Let's look at that. Because you cannot argue with those beliefs. They are so ingrained and true. If you try to get them to go away, you actually, again, repress yourself, your own expression, and you're fighting with a truth. And it's just going to become bigger and bigger. Yeah. So, anyway, there's other ways. There's a body way, but I won't get into that now. It's just way simpler. And it's way simpler. And honestly, I have to get into it. Sorry. So
that's okay.
It's like a tension headache. You could actually deal with the root problem of 3 weeks in quarantine, and you could have a conversation with all involved and really deal with what's going on. You could even just, work it out with a friend over the phone, and you could talk it through and dissect all of those beliefs that are leading up to that. And eventually this strain that was there will eventually subside. One thing that's easier though is you might actually have a hot shower, have a hot massage, put some like tingling kind of massage oil on it, and allow your body to do its job of releasing the tension.
Right.
And that's, to me, way more pleasurable.
Okay.
To go and analyze, and we all know what therapy is, and a lot of us dread it for good reason. I'm not saying therapy, it doesn't have its place, but sometimes we don't have to go and figure it all out. We source our minds so much. Let's give our minds a break. Our bodies are very, very powerful, equal part of ourselves. And so sometimes you can actually do work through just allowing your body to release the tension it's carried for years. And it's really helpful to do them in concert together. So those are ways that I really work with people around body image, because it does totally impact your confidence. And everyone knows that actually sexiness comes from confidence, not from what you appear like.
100%.
Yeah.
And body image affects every aspect of your life. It can be incredible.
Your career, everything.
Yeah, everything. Absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Can you share a situation that has occurred in your life that you feel provides insight as to who you are, your character?
I'm sure I could. It's interesting. There's so many that are popping in my head. So there's 3 things that popped into my head.
Okay.
And I'm going to share them all very short snippet.
Okay, sure.
One was a flash of me as a young girl. We lived out in the country, north of Toronto, a couple hours, Muskoka.
Yeah.
And our house was built in this small neighborhood, very, very small community, like very small. And it was built brand new, which was really cool. And the church was built right next to it. So we were the hub of the community. And I had this vision of myself skipping as like probably a 7-year-old between these 2 properties where there was like long grass. Think of summer. I was in like a summer dress, and my mom would mow this path between, like a nice wide path between the church and my house. Like, and that image of me skipping across back, just so happy. That just flashed through my head. And then another thought, fast forward to like last week, was my 9-year-old is a version of who I was, but I got suppressed. I really work really hard to not suppress all of her emotions and all of her desires. But some days I want to squash her like a bug. I love her so much. And I really, it really takes everything in me, because like most parents, our kids are mirroring parts of us, right? Yes, so I'm like getting this weird part. And then I'm even mad at her because I never got to be that expressed. Right? And so, so just the other day we were doing Shrek marathon, okay? So we were on marathon, Shrek number 2, and it was bedtime. She hates bedtime. And I mentioned it
most kids do.
Times. Yeah, which was probably once, right? But that pisses her off. So anyway, so there was something. Oh, and then she came in and she was like doing something silly. She was going to throw water at me, right? And I was like, no, but it was a really mean no.
Yeah.
It was actually a really mean no. Like if I listen back to how I yelled it, and I won't scream it here because that would just hurt people's ears. But it was mean. And in my defense as a perfect, amazing mom, I get to say no. I get to say no. I get to put boundaries up. I get to say, you don't get to spray me with water. Like, of course, that's all true. But it was the underlying, how dare you? Are you stupid? Like, what are you thinking? Like, all these, like, because it just happened in an instant. And I am certainly not perfect. And so I know that in those, like, when I reflected back, and because I saw her face immediately flatten. She was just having fun.
Yeah.
Right? It immediately flattened. And then part of me got angry at her, like literally in that moment, for immediately like, what's your problem? I get to say no. And so it's like this battling against my little self as a child constantly. And then here's this real little being that's having this, she doesn't realize she's in this puppetry of my parenting. Anyway, so then I went in and I'm like, you didn't mean to do that, did you? And you feel like, and I asked, are you feeling like really bad that you did that? We've had loads of conversations that were not that pleasant. Like I've really had a journey around anger, And this has been, I'm sharing like candidly about where I am in this time. Anyway, so we built enough trust that she authentically said yes. Because in the past she would just put a wall up to me. Right. And then she went, but she couldn't shake it. And it wasn't until I would listen back. I'm listening to Shrek. I'm listening to my yelling no. I kind of sounded like an ogre, actually, if you think about it. I really, that's when I heard, because originally when I asked if she was feeling bad, I said, yeah, and mommy gets to say no, that you don't get to spray water on her. Like I get to, but I was kind of in that defense mode, right? I was there empathizing, but I was still defending myself. It wasn't until I saw she wasn't shifting, which made me, of course, irked. Like, just get over it, kid. Yeah. And I'm there watching Shrek, and I can't get over it because I feel like, and so I analyzed. I'm listening to how I said that no, and it was in a mean, like there was an underlying thing there. It wasn't just a neutral no. There was anyway, so then I went over to her and I said, hey, you know how I said that no, that that probably felt really mean, and I'm sorry how that felt, and I really didn't want you to throw that on there, but how I said it was a really mean way to say it. And she just, her whole body relaxed. It was just, it was in that moment I'm like, wow, I get to do my boundaries, but noticing like how, so anyways, that's a moment. Those are moments of flashing in my person as a 9-year-old or 7-year-old or whatever, she's now 9, and how I relate as a parent. So there you go.
Mini Beth.
Mini Beth. Yeah.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that has helped you become successful in being a pleasure coach and helping people deal with these issues?
Well, there are two, I think. I actually was just dealing with this last week because I had a coach. I also have coaches because I need, special. I have issues. I'm just teasing. I do.
We all do, Beth.
We all have issues, right? So I was actually just getting clear on this, and it took me something to see it. I actually had to reach out to a couple of close friends. I'm like who had done some work with me or workshop. I'm like, what the heck do I do? What is it that I do? I can't see it for myself. Anyway, two things showed up for me. One, besides the fact that I've had a lot of personal experience, which I think really lends itself, but the other is that I have this uncanny way of having people feel comfortable to talk about things that otherwise are very uncomfortable to talk about, and they can really get present with even themselves. Like they can be in a workshop or be in a conversation and say things, but not only just say them and then maybe recoil that they just said it, but say them and then really be there present with themselves. And it's
that kind of thing on what they've just told you.
Yeah, like and it's and I feel very honored to be that space. Like I'm always in awe of humans' bravery to be that way. And so I think that is one of my superpowers. And another that is similar, but they go together well, is that I bring a bit of absurd, a bit of my own awkward, a bit of my own weird quirkiness to the topic, and therefore topic of sex and shame can sometimes be really heavy. Even religion and shame, these can be heavy topics, right?
Yeah.
And so I bring a lightheartedness to it, and I can, and therefore when I teach some content along with, coaching people through how do they apply it and how do they stay accountable to it. But so I can bring this everyday normalness. I call myself, like, I talk to people who are like Starbucks corporate-y people. I'm not talking to hippie people. I'm not talking to people who are like, all right, I'm ready to go to the sex club. And I mean, some of my clients are comfortable with that, but right. I talk to everyday humans who have everyday lives, and my ability to kind of make this all normal and lighthearted is a bit of my superpower. And I'm grateful for that. I'm honestly so grateful for that.
It's an incredible thing to be able to make people feel so comfortable around you that they can just, for lack of a better term, spill their guts or share their experiences like that easily. Yeah, and to see couples start to be able to do that together, it's very moving. Because I mean, we hurt ourselves, we hurt each other. Like we're kind of mean humans. We are mean. You know what? Human beings are very mean. And I find that kids can be very cruel to each other. Yeah. It's I think as a whole, humans can be very mean-spirited people. Yeah, and just to like put a plug in for our awesomeness too. Yes. It's funny, but I actually think that meanness is
is actually the learned behavior. I think our beauty was the innate behavior.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I like to believe that overall humans are good. There's more good in the world than there is bad. It's just the media always focuses on the bad. So
yeah, and we all have that evil side. Like that's like me seeing with me yelling at my daughter. For those of here's the thing: being perfect isn't the point.
No. Well, what is perfect? I mean, there's
my gosh,
no such thing as perfect.
It's absurd. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any tools or books that have helped you along your journey?
Oh, yeah. Something came into mind that I knew I wanted to share today. I was two tools, and then I'll share a book or two because really, really good stuff out there. Two basic tools. I was sharing about how you could kind of shortcut the work of therapy kind of work by doing body. And two of the things I've used, and they seem so simple that they seem a little insane, but they are really simple. And we're mostly very aware of our minds. We're very heavily reliant on our minds. Some of us have become, very aware of our souls and our spirits, but not everyone. And a lot of us have disconnected from body. And that's, again, because of our effectiveness by religion or culture, right? And so to bring back our resource of body is huge. And so I learned two tools that helped me to reconnect with my body, which I was very, very disconnected. I'll share, this is pretty explicit. I didn't orgasm till I was 38. And so I was very disconnected with body, and that sucks. So for me to learn some really easy techniques on how to connect with body made me really happy because I could do it. They were simple. So one is what's called body reveal. And I learned this through my work with my mentor, Jaya, and Jaya May, who did the erotic blueprints. And so she talks about body reveals, and it's so simple. When we go to the doctor and we have a problem and we have whatever, something's ailing us, and we go and we describe our body, right? We'll say, oh yeah, I've got an itch. I'm itchy on my stomach. Oh, where is it? They'll ask all these kind of questions, right?
Yeah.
That is actually what a body reveal is, but you're doing it for yourself. So in each day, if you can pay attention to your body and basically feel your body and describe your body as in the form of sensations, you will start to relate to your body in a much more present way. So if you're listening right now, or you, Brad, you and I, we could literally think of our body right now. And I'm realizing I've been leaning up against my table. Yeah. I've just kind of been leaning in here. Yeah. And my rib is sore. So that soreness is it's a bit of an achy, it's gone deep a little bit into that bone. And I wasn't even noticing it. Huh. And so if you're listening and you, Brad, I don't even know if you have there's something that you're all of a sudden realizing and you would then describe it like you would for a doctor. That is a massive way to bring awareness to our bodies. And that awareness to our bodies is massively helpful. And if you do that one time a day, if you literally just did that once a day, and that's how I made a massive shift in my own journey, you will literally start to process things in your body, like that tension headache. You'll learn how to process things like that much easier. You'll also learn how to have much more sensitive body, meaning you can feel more pleasure. You can actually massage yourself and you'll feel more pleasure. If you want to talk about intimate pleasure, you'll start to have more awareness of your physical sensations. It's actually amazing. That simple technique, doing that once a day, at the very least.
That is very cool.
Yeah. And then one other is just a lot of people who are in yoga will get this, that you allow your breath to go all the way down into your belly as opposed to having shallow breath.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really two simple ways to get connected again to your body. And a really, really good book that I have enjoyed lately. Alison Armstrong and David Data are really cool people. I haven't got any of their actual books, but I've listened to their content. And they talk a lot about masculine, feminine. And it's a really cool discussion that helps us to place ourselves and our energy. And it's really cool to look at it from a yin-yang place because masculine and feminine can have so many connotations. Because I could tell you all kinds of good books. Really getting an awareness of the yin-yang energies in us and these polarities has made a massive difference in my own journey, because I was heavily in what we would term masculine, and which meant I was battling up against my partner, who was also heavily in his masculine. And so we didn't have a polarity for sexuality. And we were basically fighting each other constantly, right?
Yeah.
And as I've moved more into what is, called feminine, and again, every human has both spectrums, okay?
Right.
It is not based on your sex or your sexual orientation. But that feminine energy is a much more receptive energy, and therefore there's this ebb and flow between these two energies, and you can flip and flop them with your partner. It's actually cool to play those different energies with each other, but there needs to be that polarity for that spark. And so David Data and Alison Armstrong come from two different angles about it, and they're really great perspectives.
Okay.
So those have had a great influence. And then just recently I've been loving the attachment theory. It's really, really cool to look at how we show up in relationship, either secure or anxious or avoidant, and how that really plays a big role in how we blame our partner, or we blame ourselves, or we're just kind of chill and able to roll with the punches. So yeah, those are some things I'd share.
Interesting. Okay. Let's take it down a different path, a little less serious. We'll just throw some different questions at you here. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, wind.
Wind, okay.
I really love wind, and I also we camped a lot as kids. My mom and dad were awesome. I don't know how on earth they did it. They took us to Algonquin Park as kids on like these portage week-long treks. They were amazing. And I loved the sound of the rain on the tent. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Very relaxing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Can I say it?
Yeah, of course.
For sure, all-time favorite is fuck. It's like, you can just emphasize it so effectively. It expresses so many different, it's so versatile, and it's so taboo from my growing up. I just feel like I'm like cursing the world of all I didn't love.
Using it as much as you can, because it was...
Oh yeah. I've even made the error of doing it from stage, and I'm like, wait, I need to consciously decide if that's something I'm going to do. So, yeah.
It's okay. What the hell?
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would that superpower be?
Oh, flying. It's so easy. I've been dreaming of flying since I was a kid in my dreams. Like there'd be bullies, and I could literally flap my arms and fly above them, and they couldn't get me. It was the most amazing thing in dreams. It was like I could turn the tide of all my dreams because I could fly.
What is your favorite quote? Or one of your favorite quotes?
Oh, Maya Angelou is beautiful. She's got so many. Ask for what you want and prepare yourself to receive it. I don't think it's precisely as beautiful as she spoke it, but that has been on my windowsill for years now.
I love that. What's the best advice you've ever received?
I feel like crying. Wow. It's come from so many voices of those who actually can see me before I could see me, and they said, trust yourself.
Very simple and to the point. I love it.
Yeah.
What does the word empowerment mean to you? And how do you teach your daughters empowerment?
That's empowerment. I love how you put those together. Empowerment means you can be your full self without shying away from your full power, and that looks different for everyone. And it's like the bliss and the curse of being the mother of those girls, because when your daughters are empowered, so as I've allowed my daughters to be their full selves and explore who their full selves could be, they practice on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, who better to practice on than their
mom? Exactly. And maybe that's how I've done it. I've really allowed them to explore by being that space for them, which takes something. It takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of ability to learn my own boundaries, like I was sharing earlier with my youngest. So.
Right. How do you define success? What does success mean to you?
It's funny, that word doesn't roll around on my tongue anymore very much. Success, it really is when you are at peace, and it's not about happy, although happy can be a part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's when you're really at peace with who you are and how you're existing in the world.
I love that. If you can go back and give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice, what would that one piece of advice be?
Enjoy life.
Simple and to the point. I love it.
Yeah.
So simple, such a simple thing, but when you think back, it's like enjoying life didn't seem, I don't know. I mean, when you're kids, I guess it is easy because you're just kids and you're just doing your thing, playing, and just, I guess that's enjoying life when you're a kid. But as you grow into the teenager and young adult, and it gets more and more difficult, and it's not that easy anymore.
Yeah, and I think the permission coming from an adult, I think that's the weighted. If I had had an adult tell me, like, maybe it would be more like, keep enjoying life like this. Maybe it's more that.
Yeah, because as kids, I mean, for the most part, I shouldn't generalize, but as kids, life is much simpler for most of us. You're just outside playing with your friends and doing your thing. You have your parents guiding you and teaching you, and that's it. But yeah, I guess keep enjoying life. You're right. Yeah. I think we forget how to enjoy life as we get older.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's bashed out of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Finally, do you have any big projects you're currently working on coming down the pipe that you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, we're, like I said, we're recording this right in the midst of the corona pandemic. And so to me, it's not a transactional time. It's not. It's a time for sharing what our gifts are in the world, whatever form that takes. Mine takes pleasure form, which is a little bit, it feels like a weird space to be in, because a lot of people are really suffering. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of challenges, a lot of uncertainty. And yet at this time, pleasure actually is really critical to turn that stress mode off.
Exactly. That's exactly what's needed, right?
Yeah. So I've currently been doing pleasure pods, but depending on when this airs, I've been really gathering humans in my meetup group, the Soulful Intimacy meetup group. And I do, most of my work is virtual. So that wasn't a massive shift for me in this time. Right. And so people can check me out on Soulful Intimacy in meetup and come and see what virtual workshops we're doing at that time. Things like discover your authentic pleasure, converting religious or cultural shame to soulful intimacy. These are standard ones. Discover your erotic blueprint. So I do workshops there. And so they're ongoing. But right at this moment, I'm really just doing drop-in pleasure pods for peace. And it's just a chance for people to really learn and give permission to themselves to bring a moment of pleasure in this time for their bodies to rest. And therefore, they can also be centered and focused and really be in their best version for themselves and for anyone that they're interacting with. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Empowerography today, Beth. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And
thank you for
sharing
so
your
much.
Experiences and your opinions and your thoughts and a bit of insight into who you are and what you do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of the Empowerography podcast. My guest today was Beth Ostrander, pleasure coach based in Toronto, Canada. Thanks again, Beth. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too. I'm going to go get those winter boots on.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.